Okay, cool. Chill. I've got notes today, so we're gonna kind of go over my notes, but it's just an extension of the last video's conversation where I started to talk about money. I want to talk about why I think it's useful for women to have emotional support pets as like your first step after moving away from your parents. Okay, so when you move away from your parents, it that's a really important part of growing up. Like, I don't think you'll be able to do any of the like self exploration stuff that you kind of need to do if you're still living at home, because like you're going to be under the gaze of your parents, and the reality is like your parents literally lived in a different generation. They have different struggles and stuff, and everything that they taught you, if we're being honest, you learned it by the time you were 18. There's probably a lot of stuff like your culture, all these things, your language, all this cool stuff, but then like now that you're like 18, you kind of need to go out into the world and then meet new people and make new friends and have new experiences and participate in the world. Now, I think there's whole conversations to be had about girl bossing, what that means, and having these really high expectations of being an entrepreneur. I think that's all well and good, but I'm talking about like baseline level shit. Just get a job. Just get a job, minimum wage job, any job where you just make some money. If you were able to go to college and you have those skills, that's fine too. But really just start somewhere where you're making an income, make a budget so you have some of your money going toward housing, some going toward cell phones, some going toward food, and some going toward transportation. Those are the bills. Those are the bills forever. Okay, like as you get more and more experience in the workforce, you'll earn more money. As you get more comfortable with establishing the minimum things that you need to live, you'll get more furniture, you'll understand how to furnish a home. Those That shit just happens over time by trial and error. Everyone had their first like dorm room situation, their first shitty ass apartment. Like we've all had that. But you got to start somewhere, and some of you guys are just struggling cuz you haven't even gone through that yet. So go through that. But now let's say so you have your like living space. The reason you want to get something like a cat or like a bird, a mouse, something that's like living but like isn't a baby. Okay. You want to like start by like taking care of that thing, and then under the animal, the family member, and then understanding what that's like. I actually found this girl on Instagram who she's kind of doing that. It's like she lives with her parents, but she's like literally taking care of her cat, and like she's really taking care of her cats in the way that a lot of adults are taking care of their cats, where it's like she's not neglecting them. Like she's very interactive with the cat. Like the cat has this like personality, like she's like including the cat in her content. And I think it's like really making her a much stronger person and individual, because it's not like her little sister, though she does have other family members like siblings and cousins and stuff. You like the whole point about young adulthood, especially in terms of like young womanhood, is you need to get to a place where you see yourself as like a member of your family, but you are an individual enough to where you are like independent of your family. Like you're making decisions in the world on your own. It's not that you forgot your culture, you forgot where you came from. It's that you are growing into an individual. And by having an animal, something that isn't directly related to you, and still caring for and providing for it, like I have to buy kitten litter, I have to buy kitten food, I had to take the cats to get groomed because I don't know how to groom them. So the cat groomer has to cut their nails and give them baths. The veterinarian has to give them their vaccines and check their health and their weight and their breathing and their heart rate and all that. I can't do that stuff. I don't have those skills. But that stuff isn't free. It's not like super expensive, but it isn't free. I pay for like cat insurance, things like that. It's not that it has to be like $1 million a month, but it is like a monthly recurring fee. And like, I have to take care of them. I have to take them out for walks. I have to like, buy them toys. I have to play with them. I have to provide them like cat beds, all of these things. And they're just things that like, I'm not calling my mom to do this for me. I'm not calling my brother or some family member or even some man to do this for me. I'm doing it for myself. And that all comes back down to it's like the same concepts over and over and over. But as time goes on and as you learn more, all of these concepts get more, they start to make more and more sense. Because like one thing I'm starting to understand, and I want to just kind of make this clear, it all comes back to like relationships. I have like a bunch of notes here, but I was trying to understand, like, where do people think the money is going in society? I just want to expand on that point that I made the other night when I was like, the men with the money are spending the money on the women because they have to. Like the women have to be provided for because they're like, we are, women are just like physically weaker, and like men will kill each other over resources because like that's what they do. And I think there's also something about like being like black or like African, you've seen war in a different sense. Or even being Middle Eastern right now, you also kind of see it. Anytime when you're in a place of war, you will understand that the other side, they always kill the men and then take the women and children. No matter what group or race, that's happened historically over human history. And that's what will happen again. They're going to kill the men and take the women and children. So understand that as a woman, that that's the way that the world is. Like that is a part of humanity. And so that's why I think it's really important to understand, especially as we're moving into the good year of 2026. Like we really haven't come that far in terms of like gender relations, but we have come very far in terms of female autonomy. And I've said this for a while, but like this is like a very important time in history where women can actually have apartments and they can actually work, and they can actually like take advantage of the safety of the city. We have not had that before. Like live this out, feel this out, like let this shit sink in. I think there's just so many people who are confused about like how many women are actually even available. Like I started to notice this too, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna make so much money just because I like money and I like to work for my money. And I don't do sex work. And so I realized very quickly, like, I'm gonna make so much money. Like, I think I'm gonna make a new Patreon where I talk about like the actual income that I earn and how much I make. But like the one thing I saw was there was like the stay at home girlfriend trend. So a lot of women were like leaving the workforce, or they just chose to never join the workforce, and instead they would just hop into relationships. But these were not marriages, these were just relationships. So they're like hookup situationships. And like I said, it keeps going back to the men with the money are going to buy the women. Men with money are going to buy women. Men with money are going to buy pretty women. There's not all women are not pretty. But what we do have in society right now is quite a lot of women who have access to beauty treatments, which make them look better, or other plastic versions of, alternative treatments that just make women who are not genetically attractive look better. But they're still women. Even ugly women are still women, and they do have a place in society. And I think also it's just useful to go back to like the clavicular of it all. Um, at the end of the day, and like when the money hits the account, men, and there's a lot of these men who are like this, so men who finally have a job, any job, and then the men who have better jobs, and then the men who don't even have jobs because they just have like generational wealth, so they have just money, and they are going to like walk through the world showcasing to the other men their bravado. Like, this is my shit. This is what I have. Look at me. I'm the baddest, right? Because it's not like Jeff Bezos is going to be like sport and pay less when he could wear something else. When, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, he worked that hard for all that money. He's going to have nice things. So imagine this. Why would Jeff Bezos have a bunch of money and then have like an ugly fat woman on his arm? Anybody could have that. Like the broke man on the corner could have that. Except now we are getting to a point where there's a lot of men, they can't have any woman. They can't have any woman. And then that's another thing too. I feel like I'm starting to understand about the very interesting like place that I sit in. Like a bunch of people keep thinking I'm from somewhere in Latin America. Like I have roots from Africa. Like my origin is from Africa. It is not from Latin America. It is not Brazil. It is not Colombia. Somebody said that to me today. I was like, okay. But yeah, and it's like in America, unfortunately, like black women have gotten just such a bad rep in all of the everything. So Americans are not accustomed to seeing beautiful black women, beautiful African women. It's just not like a thing that people, men, women, all the people are accustomed to. They're accustomed to seeing like these like mammified women, black women, right? And they're accustomed to seeing glamorized white women. So, okay, the really important thing to go back to here is like, and you'll see this if you just go out into the world, and Instagram is like a good proxy for it if you kind of know who to follow. But I think the other thing I'm starting to understand about social class is like the echo chamber portion of it all, as in like there's a lot of people who only know other ugly people because that's all they have access to. They just don't have access to others. But if you start somewhere else, like, and I've said this before, come to cities like LA. Now, I've heard a lot of things about Miami, New York. Those are just like very international cities with a lot of people, and they're like metropolitan cities. The people, like a lot of people, are going to be very attractive, not just like, oh my god, one girl or one guy. It's going to be like the average person. The like standard deviation of hotness is like higher. Like it's like that in LA. Like every, like most people are good looking here. The ugly people don't tend to stay here long unless they're really wealthy, and either way they would get some procedure done that would make them more attractive. So there's not very many ugly people here. So the interesting thing about that is if we go back to what I was said, that, oh, I'm willing to work. So if you already know that like pretty women are going to have shit, and then wealthy men are going to take care of pretty women, so then you would see the matchup happening instantly, right? Where like all the pretty women would need to get jobs because they are just being taken care of by the men. But there's not like an unlimited number of men, and there's not an unlimited number of women. So what happens when those men inevitably get those women pregnant, and now they're like, being taken care of by the parental support, or now they're stay-at-home wives or whatever. So they're not going back to work. They're just going to like stay home and raise kids. But what if you just chose not to do that? You were just like, I'm just going to keep like, I'm just going to, whatever job I had working at the Starbucks or whatever, I'm just going to do that. You're still a woman. And I didn't talk about like, I didn't say, oh my God, okay, so now only the fat, ugly ones did that. Like, what if like all women kind of have that choice, and just statistically, some women will make that choice. I'm just going to work. Then other women will just go do OnlyFans, right? So, like, if you do whatever one, there's like three different options I just mentioned here. And then you can classify the women who go to college and then enter the workforce as this same group that I'm talking about, the women who just get the job. Um, you're going to have just get continuing on the path